team, welcome to Back Care Advent. Today we're going to do a back care specific movement, as in we're targeting a particular muscle that is generally to blame when we have muscle spasms and so on in our back. This muscle we call the quadratus lumborum, or for short the QLs. Now they attach to the bottom rib and come down onto the pelvic crest up here, or the ischium. They're shaped like a quadrangle, so they're kind of like a rectangle but a little bit on the wonk. Their main purpose their main role in movement is to allow lateral flexion. So lateral flexion of the ribs, lateral flexion of the hips, and then if we bring the two together, we can get excessively large range of motions. They also assist in rotation. They're quite a synergistic muscle, as in they can't really do much movement of a joint by themselves, but they help along the way supporting other muscles. So they're kind of like an important role, an important substitute, right? They come on to do their main bit and then they leave, but they're always part of the team, okay? Now QLs can be affected quite a lot if you're sitting, particularly in a cross-legged position, if your hips are ever on the wonk for extended periods of time, and they can affect the way that you ambulate, they can affect the way that you lift and just generally do things. So a way to help them is with this particular movement pattern. Now it's quite precise, so we're going to go through this step by step. Bob, I'm just going to move you along a little bit so we've got a bit more space. Now you need a wall, a clear space of wall, all right? So this may be tricky to do in the gym unless you have a ton of space, but it's easy to do at home or near a door or anything at all. Just use your imagination, okay? So you're going to stand close enough to the wall that if you put your elbows out, you can touch the wall, all right? So I'm standing straight and my elbow is touching the wall. From this point, I'm going to move my arm so that it's here, like I'm holding an imaginary tray. And I'm going to lean my shoulder against this wall. So by all means, use your other hands to help lower you in. Okay, so now I am at an angle and the wall is straight. And I'm keeping this arm out of the way, because if it's hanging down, it's going to block the movement pattern that I need to do. But equally, what this arm is doing, what this shoulder is doing, is blocking the ribs. So remember that the QL attaches there. It's blocking the ribs from assisting in the movement. So it's going to be a beautiful stretch for the lower proportion of the QL. So from here, what we're going to do is dip the hip to try and touch the wall and then releasing back out. So you may find the first couple of reps can't quite make it. That's absolutely fine, because after a few, you'll be able to. Whoop, there it is. And I'm just gently moving my hips in, moving my hips out, keeping my legs straight, my knees are locked, and my shoulders are relaxed. Okay, so again, we're keeping it active, but it's not ballistic. So we're moving gently in and out of the movement pattern. Okay, and once you've done about 10 to 12 repetitions, we turn and face the other way. So again, elbow up, you standing straight, elbow to touch the wall. I duck that elbow out of the way, I lean in. Then I dip my hip to aim for the wall, and then release my hips back out once more. So hopefully you've got a little bit of a better view from this side of how much my hips are moving, but I'm keeping my ribs pretty still. So lateral flexion assisted movement pattern there will help things in your back loosen up a little bit. If you've been sat for too long, or you've got an excessive curve, anything at all that could be creating back problems, this is a really gentle way to get your brain to pay attention to a specific area that it may need to do adjustments for. Okay, Muscles are reactive to the messages that they receive from the central nervous system. So we've got to show the central nervous system sometimes where it needs to concentrate its workload. And by doing these gentle movement patterns, that's what we're doing. It's not about helping the muscles to do something different necessarily. Sometimes that is the case. But with this one, because it's almost like a landlocked muscle, yeah? What we're trying to do here is remind the brain that that muscle exists, part one, and part two, to do an assessment. Is that muscle working too hard? Compare right to left. Are they equal? Are they actually doing the function that they should be doing? The brain will figure that out, and then it will make the corrections it needs, which is why it's important to move slowly and give your body and brain time to connect and do the adjustments. All right? So if you go back to the first side that you did and try again, sets 2 and sets 3 will feel much better, like you've got much more range of movement in there. And it's because your nervous system is understanding for the lumbar spine to flex a little bit more, for the pelvis to move laterally a little bit more, that QL needs to open up somewhat, okay? Or it needs to facilitate itself a little bit better to do the job requirement. This is why neurology and neurological conditioning is as important as physical conditioning, because without the nervous system sending the messages to the muscles, they won't do the thing that you want them to do. Okay? Enough of the nerding for one day. Okay? Let me know how you get on with that one. Slow and steady. Don't do it too many reps either. Take your time with that one. Let me know how you go.